You have never truly been on Earth. Go outside tonight and look up. Whatever is above you, it is not the sky. More than a third of the people alive right now cannot see the Milky Way from where they live. In Europe, that number is around 60%. In North America, it is closer to 80. Those figures come from a global atlas of artificial night brightness published in 2016, and they are not describing a minor inconvenience. They are describing a species that quietly installed a ceiling over itself and then forgot it was there. The galaxy did not move. We turned the lights on. And that is one sense, one small corner of a much larger problem, which is this. You have lived your entire life on this planet, and you have never actually been here. So let me take you somewhere. Not far. Same continent, same coordinates, same dirt under your feet. Just earlier. And we will do it one sense at a time because the strangeness does not hit you all at once. It arrives in layers. Start with your eyes. The first thing you would notice is not a mammoth. It is the absence of straight lines. Almost everything in your visual field right now was manufactured. Edges, corners, flat planes, colors that occur nowhere in nature. Step back far enough in time, and that entire category is gone. No right angles, no signage, nothing painted. Your eye keeps searching for the thing it is supposed to lock onto, and there is nothing. The colors are wrong too, or rather, yours are. Look around the room you are in and count the shades that could not exist without a factory. That specific plastic blue, that particular white. Nature does make brilliant color, but it makes it in flowers and feathers and whetstone, in small deliberate doses, and it never makes a wall of it. And the distance, you can see further. Much further. Not because your eyes are better, but because the air is emptier. On a clear day, the horizon is genuinely the horizon. There is no smudge at the edge of things. Whatever is out there at the limit of your vision is simply out there, and you can watch it for as long as you like, because nothing is going to drive past and interrupt you. But here is the part nobody expects. You would find it hard to see anything at all at first, because you would be looking for humans. And there would not be any. We will come back to that. Stay with your senses. Because the next thing that happens is that you notice the sound. Or rather, you notice what is missing from it. There is a low hum underneath your life. It is so constant that your brain has filed it under nothing. Traffic 3 streets away. A fridge. Something electrical in the wall. Air moving through a vent. Take all of it away and people report the same disorienting thing. The silence sounds loud, like a pressure change. What fills that space instead is not silence. It is animals. A dawn chorus in an untouched forest is not background noise. It is a wall. Birds stacking themselves into different frequencies so they can be heard over each other, which is a real and studied behavior, and it is genuinely difficult to talk over. The naturalist Bernie Krause has spent decades recording wild soundscapes, and by his own account, a large share of the places in his archive no longer sound the way they did when he recorded them. That is his own record rather than a settled scientific finding, but it is a striking thing to have documented. And then it gets stranger, because you would be able to hear things you have never once heard. Your own heartbeat, unprompted. Someone walking 200 meters away. A large animal breathing. Now your nose. Here is a thing you were probably told, and it was wrong. Humans have bad noses. This turns out to be a 19th century idea that got repeated until it became a fact, and it does not hold up. In one experiment, people were put on their hands and knees in a field and asked to follow a scent trail across the grass. They could do it, blindfolded. They zigzagged like a dog does, correcting left and right off the smell. Your nose is not the problem. Your world is. It has almost nothing in it worth smelling. The ancient world had a great deal. Wood smoke, constantly, on everything. In fact, smoke is written into ancient bodies. Soot has been found in the preserved lungs of people who died thousands of years ago. Fire kept you warm, kept the animals off, cooked your food, and slowly filled you with particulates. Nobody got a choice about that. There would be hides curing. There would be a kill somewhere in the middle stages of becoming dinner. And there would be people, unwashed, permanently, which everybody smelled like, which meant nobody smelled like anything. But here is the part I actually want you to sit with. how few of them there were. Estimating global population that far back is genuinely difficult and the numbers are argued about, so treat any specific figure with suspicion. But the honest range that researchers work with is small, not billions, not hundreds of millions, something on the order of a few million people, spread across every habitable landmass on Earth, which means the loneliest place you have ever stood was crowded compared to this. The emptiest hour of your emptiest night, on the emptiest street you know, still had a few thousand people asleep within a mile of you, breathing, dreaming, existing in your general vicinity whether you thought about them or not. Walk in any direction for a week and you may meet nobody. And the people you do live alongside, you know completely. Every one of them. There is a well-known claim that humans can maintain around 150 stable relationships, and it is a contested number that gets thrown around too confidently. But the underlying shape of it holds. Your entire social world was a group you could name from memory. Strangers were not a category, they were an event. Then the sun goes down, and the planet does something it does not do for you anymore. It gets dark, not dim. Dark. The kind where your hand disappears. And your eyes have a system for this that you have almost never used properly, because full dark adaptation takes something like 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted darkness, and you interrupt it every single night with a screen, or a streetlight, or a fridge door. Give your eyes that half hour, and they turn into a different instrument. Moonlight becomes usable. You can walk. You can see shapes, movement, the edges of things. Ancient humans were not blind at night. They were adapted, and you have simply never let yourself finish loading. And the light they did have was fire. Orange, low, flickering, almost no blue in it, which matters more than it sounds like it should. We will come back to that too. Because first there is the scale. You're not the biggest thing out there. You are not close. In the late Pleistocene, the world still had its enormous animals, mammoths, ground sloths the size of a car, deer with antlers spanning more than 3 meters, armored mammals built like parked vehicles, bears larger than any bear now alive. Why they disappeared is one of the genuinely open arguments in the field. Some researchers put it on human hunting, some on climate change at the end of the Ice Age, most now on some combination. Nobody has closed it. But while they were here, you shared ground with them, which sounds thrilling until you think about the logistics. There is no fence. There is no gap in the schedule where the enormous animals are not out. You are simply a soft, slow, hairless thing, standing in a landscape that contains a hill with opinions, and your entire safety system is a sharpened rock and 4 friends. And that is before the things that hunted you. There are hominin bones in the fossil record with carnivore tooth marks in them. That is not a metaphor. Being prey was a normal Tuesday. And now the last one, the strangest one. Time. Nobody knew what year it was. Not because they were primitive, but because the question is meaningless without a system, and the system had not been invented. There was no date, no hour, no age, in the sense of a number you carry around. There was the season, the moon, the animals moving, the light. And here is the scale of it. Anatomically, modern humans have been around for roughly 300,000 years, going by the oldest fossils we have. Farming is about 12,000 years old. Do that arithmetic and something uncomfortable falls out. Around 96% of the human story happened in the world I have just described. The world you live in is the exception. It is the weird one. It is a thin, bright strip at the very end of a very long tape, and you were born inside the strip and told it was the whole thing. Which brings me to the part that changes what this video is about, because I have been describing all of this as a place you have never been. And that is not quite true. You did not visit that world. You were built by it. Every one of the senses I just walked you through is still calibrated for it. Your eyes still run a 30-minute dark adaptation program you never complete. Your nose can still follow a trail across a field. Your ears still flag a sound at the edge of a tree line. Your body still expects to know every person it sees. You are not a visitor to that planet. You are equipment from it, running in the wrong environment, wondering why some things feel harder than they should. And you can test a little of this yourself, which is the part I like most. There is a study where researchers sent people camping for a week with no artificial light at all. No torches, no phones, just sunlight and campfire. In 7 days, their internal clocks shifted by around 2 hours, and their melatonin started rising at sunset instead of somewhere near midnight. A week. That is all it took to pull a modern body back onto solar time. Nothing was fixed, nothing was healed. The setting was simply still in there, waiting, the way a factory default sits underneath everything you have installed on top of it. So no, you have never truly been on Earth. You have only ever been in the lit, flattened, deodorized, permanently humming version we built on top of it in the last few thousand years. It is warm, and it is safe, and it is astonishingly comfortable, and I am not asking you to give it up. I am only pointing out that there is an older place underneath, and you already know the way. If you got 1 hour there, 1 hour on the real thing, with the dark and the animals and the sky doing what it actually does, what do you think you would notice first?